Zaslow, take it away.
Thank you, Lorelai, for organizing this, and thank you, Aquarian Minyan. And I'm looking at some of the faces. These are some of the, Lorelai, these are some of the highest level people in the whole world here today. So it's really an honor to be doing this. So this is a meditation technique that I worked out with Reb Zalman over many, many years, trying to take Lurianic Kaballah and make it simple. That's not really the right word. I think the word is accessible to all of us. Sometimes you read the works of Luria and some of the other great teachers of Kaballah, and it's a little bit inaccessible. It's dense and it's verbal. So I tried to put it on charts, and we're getting approval from Reb Zalman at each step. So I'm honored to share this collaboration between me and my Rebbe, Alav Shalom. So I'm going to go on a share right now and take you on a little bit of a journey for the next 3 weeks. Of course, the reality is I have so much material to share that there's only so much we can do in 3 weeks, because I want to make it a practicum. And so we'll be doing meditation in brief, so to speak, as we go along. And anything you see on the screen, you're very welcome to do a screenshot. You know, if you like something and you want to cop it from the screen, just please do a screenshot. So, you know, Kaballah is this amazing process of understanding what, you know, in India is called the chakras. We call them sefirot, the energy centers on the body. The color scheme that you see there is not the original Lurianic scheme, but is Reb Zalman's scheme. So in the right shoulder represented Chesed was violet, and then blue for Gevurah. We'll go over all these if the language is not right for you right now. The heart center is green. Netzach is yellow. The left hip hod is orange. Yesod for foundation is red. All the way to grounding is earth. I like this scheme much more than Luria's scheme because it makes sense in terms of the natural world in the spectrum. My teacher, David Wolfblank, Alav Shalom, taught us this very interesting. I'd never thought of these as opposites, so to speak. But Kaballah comes from the word kabel, which means to receive. It's energy coming from the outside. We receive the wisdom from the Holy One, and we receive this wisdom and internalize it, and it's energy coming from the outside. As opposed to kavanah, our intention when we do a meditation is directing it outward. So that's what we'll be doing. We'll be doing meditations where we'll be receiving data and information from the Kabbalists and then directing it outward into our lives. I want to start with this beautiful prayer before we start our study today. It's based on the text of a disciple, an unknown disciple of Yitzchak Isaac Luria, Alav Shalom, and translated by Reb Zalman. So everybody is on mute. Stay on mute, but please read this with me, okay? Read this with me. My Lord, Creator of all, Master of all worlds, supreme, compassionate, and forgiving, thank you for your Torah. Thank you for allowing me to learn from it and to move towards serving you. Thank you for revealing some of the mysteries of your way. I am amazed this is truly happening to me. I pray too that this study will bring you joy. It is the incense I offer in your holy temple. Bathe this, my soul, your soul, in the light of the source of all. Let your radiance be recognized today, now, in me and through me, that I may use the insights and energy of these, your holy teachings, for the good of all living creatures, everywhere, and for the furtherance of your plan of the continuing creation. Let no one be hurt anywhere by this study. Guard my soul that stays on the straight path back to your home. With King David, the joyful singer of Yisrael, I pray, open my eyes and let me see the wonders of your Torah. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart find favor before you, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. So many of us are aware of this, the beautiful angel song that Shlomo Carlebach, Alav Shalom, wrote the melody. But this will be our first practice and our first meditation. is being aware of the four directions around us, and the Shekhinah containing all the archangels. It was impossible for me to do something three-dimensionally. So in the prayer it says, "In the name of Adonai, God of Israel." The first part is, at my right hand is Michael. So just feel the energy at your right hand and envision it as Michael. We'll talk about who Michael is in a moment. At your left hand is Gabriel, the archangel Gabriel. Before me is Uriel, in front of you. Again, I couldn't draw it in a way that looked like before, so it's kind of a little out of shape there. Before me is Uriel, and behind me is Raphael. So these are the four directions, the four primal energies contained by the Shekhinah. And so many of you know the words to this. We'll sing this and do it as a meditation. And if you wish to move your hand to the right when you get to Michael, and then your hand to the left when you get to Gabriel, point in front of you when you get to Uriel, and behind you when you get to Raphael. In the name of Adonai, God of Israel. Right hand. At my right hand is Michael, my left hand Gabriel, and before me is Uriel, behind me Raphael, and above my head, Holy Shekhinah. B'Shem Adonai, Elohei Yisrael, Mimini Michael, Mismoli Gavriel, Milfanai Uriel, Bechorai Raphael, V'al Roshi, Shekhinah Del. Now watch the way this meditation works. So come, take a nice deep breath and center yourself and relax. And just envision from the right side of your body, your right hand, is an angel called Michael. And that's the angel of kindness, of chesed, of expansion, of openness to the world. Feel the energy of openness on your right side. And then feel the energy on your left side and envision it as Gabriel, the energy of discernment, of borders. If the right side, Michael, is yes, then Gabriel is no. And all of us know we need a little bit of yes in our lives and a little bit of no. We need them to be balanced. So feel the energy of your right side, openness, and Gabriel on your left side. And then envision right in front of you is the angel of Uriel, the angel of light. Uriel is the angel of the future, looking ahead. Envision right in front of you the angel of light. And behind you the angel of Raphael, the angel of healing. Raphael is always behind us because as we move through life, we're making mistakes every day. And Raphael is there behind us, helping us clear those mistakes. So here's the meditation. So envision the right side of your body is open, and then going into the back, like orbiting you. The back is Raphael. And your left hand is Gabriel. Before you is Uriel. Do you feel that orbit going around you? The right side, Michael. Behind you, Raphael. Your left side, Gabriel. Before you, Uriel. One more time. At your right hand is Michael. Behind you is Raphael. At your left hand is Gabriel. Before you is Uriel. Tie them all together now. And above my head, Holy Shekhinah. So I hope you feel the presence of those angelic beings, and we'll be learning more about them as we go along. So take a nice clearing breath. I know just saying the words, for me, I feel the angels all around me. And of course, these angels are deep, profound metaphors. This prayer that David Wolfblank, Alav Shalom, wrote is pretty cool, because this is what I say every night when I'm going to bed, and I want to feel safe in bed when I'm going to sleep, and I want to feel those angels. So read this prayer with me. It's a different version of the same song, the same prayer that same meditation. May Michael, the energy of love, be on my right side. May Gabriel, the energy of courage, be on my left side. May Uriel, the energy of vision, be in front of me. May Raphael, the energy of healing, be behind me. Shechinatel, may your energy surround me. And may I feel your presence inside me. I love you, and you love me. I love that prayer. I love the sense, I think we all need to be loved, and we all need to love. And those last lines, I feel your presence inside me. I love you, and you love me. So that's a practice. That's part of this Merkava meditation. In our own synagogue, we took the tree of life that we'll be learning about today, and we put it in this beautiful stained glass window. And somebody once asked me, why is it all fragmented? Well, my only response was because all of us have fragmented parts of all of our sefirot, are not whole, they're not a single color. I can't say my chesed is a pure purple. It's broken, little fragments, little pieces all over. Rachel Resch is with us today. This is my favorite tree of life, this rendering that she did. I love this, because you can see the roots going down into the earth, and the branches and the leaves and the fruit into heaven. So we'll be learning, of course, about the tree of life, because it's kind of core. But what I wanted to share with you to start with is this idea of energy that moves up from the earth and moves up through the various energy centers, the sefirot, and snakes its way up our body. And in fact, we know that in healing, one of the great, from the Middle East all the way through Western culture, one of the great symbols of healing is the caduceus, right? The double helix snake of energy going from the bottom to the top. But it also goes from the top to the bottom. And without naming, I'm not going to name the energy centers yet, the sefirot, because we really haven't learned them. But I'm going to name the body parts. So the first part of this meditation is to feel the energy descending from the top of your head. It's called Keter. We'll learn more about it. Going to the right side of your head, to the left side of your head. Follow the arrows. Now, some of you may want to touch your body part. You may want to touch your head. Chachma is the right side of your head. Bina is the left side of your head. It's like looking in a mirror, by the way. I know on the screen it looks different, so you've got to see that this word for wisdom, or chachma, is the right side, and bina is the left side. So if you'd like to follow along and touch your body as I'm reading them, I want you to just feel this flow of energy. This is the first formal Kabbalistic meditation to do. The energy from the top to bottom. You ready? Take a little breath. Feel the energy from the top of your head, flowing down to the right side of your head, then flowing across to the left side of your head. And from the left side of your head, going down to your right shoulder. There you go. And from the right shoulder to the left shoulder. From the left shoulder down to your heart. And from your heart to your right hip. And from your right hip to your left hip. And from your left hip to your lower abdomen. And from your lower abdomen down to your feet. Now, of course, the energy flow that's happening in our bodies right now is much faster than that, right? It's literally the speed of light, or the speed of the electricity as it's going through our bodies. So I'm just going to name the body parts and just go a little bit faster and try to feel that flow. This is part of my morning meditation when I'm davening. Feel the energy coming in from the top of my head to the right side of my head, to the left side of my head, down to my right shoulder, to my left shoulder, down to my heart, flowing down to my right hip, to my left hip, to my lower abdomen, and down to my feet. And just once again, top of my head, right side of my head, left side of my head, right shoulder, left shoulder, my heart, right hip, left hip, lower abdomen, and down to my feet, grounded. Take a breath. Now, all of these charts are just visual metaphors of something that's kind of beyond art, and actually we shouldn't get too stuck on the way they look. This is kind of a traditional way with the arrows, or at least with lines going through them. But in reality, the flow is much more fluid. I wish I was a really good artist and I could have drawn this better. But at least in my meditation, I have sensed, and Reb Zalman confirmed, that the energy really is much more fluid, much more circular and rounded. So you could see that this particular chart draws the loop from the top of the head to the right side of the head. It flows to the left side of the head, flows then to the right shoulder, flows over to the left shoulder, down to the heart, spins around in the heart and goes to the right hip, to the left hip, to the lower abdomen, spins around there again, and goes down to the earth. This is a little bit more like, and I say like very carefully here, because none of these charts are accurate. They're all approximations of energy flowing through our bodies. So how do you draw that, right? As best we can. Essentially what we're doing is we're building a scaffolding. The scaffolding of our energy center, which is, you might say that our skin and bones and organs are upholding our energy, but the Kabbalists felt that the energy is upholding our skin and bones. So this particular scaffolding is another meditation. We're not going to do it right now, but it's just to look at the chart and to envision yourself as having been created or being created at this very moment with an energetic scaffolding between all the different elements and all the different parts, crisscrossing and upholding you. Just try this just for a moment. Imagine yourself being upheld. Not that your body and skin and bones are upholding your energy, your nerves, but that your nervous system, and even beyond the nervous system, the energetic system, the spiritual life within you, is upholding you. Envision this scaffolding around you right now. This is another meditation we'll be doing a little bit longer sometime. So here's where I want to start, a little bit more academic for just a moment. And by the way, if you have questions, put them in the chat. And in about 10, 15 minutes, I'll come off of these charts and come to some questions that you might have. This design of sentient beings, of animals, of insects, you can see it really in an insect, the three segments are recapitulated in really all of creation. But certainly, let's just take our own human bodies. We have three triads in the Kabbalah, in the tree of life. The triad, three energy centers of the head, the triad of the three energy centers of your torso, and the triad of the three energy centers of your hip. Now, if you look at the left side of the chart, you see the head triad. It's so amazing. What a design. I mean, whoever designed us, it's a pretty amazing design. And by the way, the word da'at, which is one of the energy centers in the tree of life, possibly is the root of the word data, D-A-T-A. The intake of da'at, the intake of data, your ears take in sound, your eyes take in color and light, your nose, smell, your mouth, food and air. So the head triad is all about intake. Everything that you have is intaken here, with the exception of the kinesthetic sense, which is more like da'at, because you feel from all over your body. You feel from your hands, and you feel from your thighs and your feet. Your whole body is infused with da'at. It's infused with this kinesthetic sense of feeling. But the head triad is all about intake. Top of your head, right side of your head, left side of your head. It's all about intake of data, of information. Sound, light, smells, food, the air that we breathe. That's the top of your head, right side of your head, left side of your head. You got that? Now the torso is amazing, of course, because it's all about processing the data. Your lungs, your heart, your liver, all the organs in your body, your kidneys are all in this torso. And this is this center triad, represented by the right shoulder, the left shoulder, and the heart. But it's not really the right shoulder or the right hand. It's really that whole right side of the torso, the left side of the torso. So this particular triad of these three sefirot is all processing the data that come from the head triad. So we have the intake and then the processing. What a design, right? The hip triad. The right hip, the left hip, the lower abdomen. It's all about, I don't know the right word. You can call it expression. I'm calling it extrusion. These words are not accurate. They're just metaphors to try to describe what happens in our body. From your tuchus to the genitalia to the urinary system. It's all about sending it out there. Sending it out there. Whether it's in sending it out there in making love, or whether it's sending it out there in everything that's been processed, that has gone through our kidneys and has gone through our intestines and now needs to be expressed. We call it waste material, but it really is not waste, right? Because that waste, of course, becomes the best compost there is. So we have this process of extrusion coming from our hips, from this lower triad. So the head triad, intake, torso triad, processing, hip triad, extrusion. So let's just do this as a little meditation. Just briefly take a breath and just kind of look at the chart. And by the way, Reb Zalman and I were talking about how important it is for you to feel permission for any of these meditations to do it open-eyed, to put the chart, so to speak, on your stender, on your music stand, and to look at it. Sometimes it makes it much easier to envision it on your body if your eyes are open. Sometimes not. Whatever you feel, or close your eyes or open your eyes. Right? But as you close your eyes or open them, envision your head triad, 3 energy centers in your head. You don't have to know the names. The torso triad, don't have to know the names. And the hip triad. Try to feel those 3 distinct segments of your body. Feel the distinct segments of your body, the head, the torso, the hip. Of course, when we're in our lives, they're so interconnected together, we're just not thinking about head, torso, and hip. But this is the design. This is the blueprint. Feel those 3 triads, and then feel yourself grounded. Feel your feet on the ground. Your feet on the ground. This is Malchut. We'll learn about that in a little while. The grounding. Isn't this marvelous? It's pretty amazing. What a design. So let's take a look at the tree of life, and let's take a look at these 10 energy centers. It'd be great if by next week you can kind of memorize these 10 words. It's not urgent. You know, if you know where Keter, Chachma, Bina is, many of you already know this. But if you don't know it, it's good to learn. I'll be naming the body parts, so you don't really have to know the names, but it's just good. It makes it a shorthand. So Keter is the top of your head. It's where your soul and God interfaces and enters your body. It's why we have our heads covered. This interface, this moment of interconnection between the divine, between the angelic forces coming into us, into our bodies. It's an indescribable sense of purpose and part of being something greater than ourselves. Keter, the crown chakra, the crown sefirah, is a sense of purpose. Being part of something greater than ourselves. That's where it starts. You and I are part of something greater than we even know, greater than ourselves. We're so consumed with our personal selves, we don't realize we're part of this greater whole. And when we do, we go, wow. And that's where Chachma comes in, the right side of the head. The Chachma comes in and goes, it's an intuitive flash. and gives us a sense of wow or aha. It's the primal sense of wonder, wholeness, amazement, and expansiveness. See, once I realize I'm part of something greater than myself, my mind goes, wow, it's a flash. Chachma. Wisdom can't be grasped. Wisdom can't be grasped in that right side of our brain. It can't be grasped. So it shifts over to the left side of the head, to Bina, to understanding, which is the mind's attempt to figure out the insight of wisdom through analysis, study, and linear procedure. So Bina is all about, pardon the pun, but being a bean counter, all figuring things out. I got to understand what just happened to me at Chachma. I had this great insight about my life, about my health, about my art, about my studying, about my friendships. That's Chachma. Wow. I got to write it down. I got to take notes. Those of you taking notes right now, that's Bina at work. Those of you just sitting back and just wow, going wow, that's Chachma at work. So this is this upper triad. Keter, Chachma, Bina. Interface, sense of purpose, wisdom, the right side of the head, Bina, the left side of the head. Then the energy flows down to Chesed. Chesed is this, so to speak, this area that begins around the right shoulder, down the right arm, the right side of the torso. It's the primal sense of expansion via kindness and openness and receptivity. It's unbounded love of God saying yes to the world. Do you know in almost all cultures, I happen to be a left-handed person, and even in French it's called gauche, right? That most people wave with their right hand. Most people shake hands. I'm not talking about the pandemic, but we shake with our right hands universally. There's something about that right side of the body that wants to say yes. Yes to the outside. I wave to you. I reach out my hand. I shake my hand. It's the right hand. In cultures without, let's say, forks and spoons, it's the right hand that does the eating. And the energy flows immediately to Gevura, the left shoulder, the energy center on the left side, the primal sense of contraction via caution and doubt, the sense of placing boundaries and restrictions on our lives, fear and awe of God saying no to the world. This pandemic has really brought out a lot of Gevura in a lot of us. We've learned that the masks, it's a healthy way to say no to the world, not a total no, just no breathing on each other, no getting too close to each other. The Gevura has to balance Chesed. We can't live in always with yes, sometimes we have to live with no. And of course we need them balanced. And this brings us down to the heart sefirot of Tiferet. And after Tiferet, I'm going to go off screen. I'll come back on screen live. And if you have questions, we can answer them. Tiferet means beauty. It's the heart center. It unifies and balances expansion and contraction. Its beats are the rhythms of yes and no. Here is the sacred heart, is the source of healing, the place of equilibrium between the dual necessities of openness and caution. When you go to a Providence hospital or any one of the Catholic hospitals and you see a picture of either Mary or Jesus and they're standing there, sometimes they're holding their heart. Sometimes the heart is, they're opening their hands. It's Chesed and Gevura being balanced by Tiferet, the sacred heart. And so the whole system in the Catholic system of hospitals is called, some of them are called the Sacred Heart systems. I love that because it's balancing the necessities for good health of our yes and our no. So I'm going to come off screen now and see if anybody has any questions. There's so much material to take in, right? We're taking it in our heads. So there's nothing in the chat, but if anybody wants to ask a question or two, just come off mute for a moment and please ask. I'll do the best I can. Okay, there is something in the chat. I'm so sorry.
David?
Thanks, Greg Wolf. Interesting how rich brain, I think he means right brain and left brain function. I like rich brain. That's pretty good, Greg. And left brain function line up with the Chachma and Bina. Oops, right brain, Bina. And Rachel Resch is asking, could you please say more about the right time, about why we cover our heads? Oh, Keter. So in many spiritual traditions, The head covering for men and for women just represents, I realize there's a boundary here. I realize there's a border, that this skin of mine, Rachel Rush, it ends at a certain place, and I want a connecting point. It's like there's a synapse over there. And so when I pray deep, deep times of prayer, I'll bring the talit over my head, and that the talit over my head, there's something called the atara, the crown, is on the top of the talus, because I want to make that connection. So there's a little bit of a synapse. And by symbolically, I don't mean symbolically, I guess I mean energetically, by wearing a kippah at certain times, then I'm aware of this connection between the above, what's above me, and what's coming in. Of course, in reality, we don't need it. It just helps it's a reminder. It's a mindfulness practice. I hope that helps, Rachel Rush. 2 thumbs up. Okay, good. Good. So Klein is saying the trade-off between Keter and Da'at. I haven't even gotten to Ad Da'at yet, so I'll get to that in a moment when we go back to the chart. But Da'at means knowingness. And in some systems of Kabbalah, it's not even one of the 10 sefirot, it's like the 11th sefirot. Reb Zalman called it the ghost sefirah. It's this knowingness, this kinesthetic sense that permeates throughout the body. Da'at is not really, it's located in the third eye, so to speak, but it really permeates the whole body. It's the sense of knowingness, of kinesthetics. And for Lila is asking, and Lila is saying, is it important the direction of the chakras movement? And it is only from Keter down to Malchut? Could it be the opposite way from? Yes. So of course the energy goes in both directions. It comes down from Keter to Malchut, and it also goes up from Malchut to Keter. It is definitely a double helix. As one snake comes down, the other snake is coming up, and it's going so fast in our bodies that we're not even aware of it, right? But the energy in the Kabbalistic system is these double helix of energy going up and down. Now, the way we start is top to bottom. It's a little bit easier to go top to bottom than bottom to top. It's a much more advanced practice to do both simultaneously. So in 3 sessions, all we'll be doing here is top to bottom meditation. Now the direction, I can't tell you universally, but I will tell you in Luria's system, you do the energy to top, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the heart, right hip, left hip, lower abdomen, feet, in that order. And you do it backwards, of course, when it's coming up. So Julie is asking a great question. Just to clarify, the chart is showing the person facing away from us, right? Yes. And the art should be really corrected to look at that. So Chachma, if you can remember that, the right side of your brain is on the right, and Bina is on the left side of your body. Yes, Reuven Goldfarb, you're absolutely right. The human figure should be defacing. Good typo. Facing the other way from us. Absolutely agree. We will make that correction. Yes, everybody's agreeing. Right. Then Roz is asking, did Kabbalists connect the energies moving up and down with angels on Jacob's ladder? Absolutely. All of our, I don't like to use the word symbol because symbol means it's not real, it's a representation. I like the word representation because it means representation. So yes, the angels in Jacob's, in the ladder, in the Sulam that went from earth to heaven and heaven to earth, right, is a Torah representation of what later would become in the Kabbalah, this representations of the sefirot from Keter down to Malchut. And let's see, Diana is asking, is there an awareness of connection with the earth at the bottom, receiving energy from the earth as well? That is a great question, Diana. I don't know the answer to that. Wow. I know I've seen different configurations of it where Keter is actually down on the bottom and the roots are in heaven. And I just don't know that. Reuven Goldfarb might. I don't know if there's anybody that does know, but I think that's a great question. Do we receive energy from the earth as well?
Actually, I'm sure we know we do.
Who said that, Reuven?
Experientially, I'm sure we all know that we do.
Well, I think experientially we know that we do. Yeah, Great.
There's a shamanic meditation that takes you from the earth up and down, and it goes from the earth up, and then it goes from the top down, and
Right.
it just goes simultaneously, and you do it several times.
Right.
So it's like black and gold, black and gold, black and gold.
Nice.
Reb David, I would add that
Say your name as you speak, just because I have so many little boxes here. I want to know who's speaking.
Jerry Green, Yitzhak, Aaron.
Hey, Yitzhak.
Sefer Yetzirah says head is in the heart. Triangle is in the head, square is in the belly, and is in the pelvis, and circle is in the heart, Aleph Mem Shin. And in Aikido, I'm going back to the concept of grounding. Aikido, those three symbols also represent the energy of the body in the head, the heart, and the hara. So Aikido would say, yes, we do receive energy from the ground. Thank you, Diana, for the question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just hadn't thought of it that way, but of course the earth is feeding us from the bottom up. It just is just as much as heaven is feeding us from the top down. Good insights. Why does the Zohar not have 4 trees like Luria's? I don't know, Charna. Within the Partsufim, I don't want to go to the Partsufim yet, which means faces of God. Each sefirah has within it the entire sefirot system, absolutely. And as we like to say, one person's keter is another person's malkut. For sure, each sefirah, each of the 10 sefirot contain the 10 sefirot. So there's a keter of keter and a chachma of keter, etc. I don't want to make it more complex than it needs to be. So in a sense, there's like 100 sefirot, right? There's 10 sefirot, and then each one has within it the 10. It's a beautifully complex system. Cassandra Sagan, please ask your question out loud.
So we did that when we were doing the meditation. We were, coming in from the top and going to the bottom. Is there a circular path back? Is there, a never-ending circle?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then that's the beauty of the ancient metaphor, or pretty universal metaphor of the caduceus, right? And the caduceus is the energy coming circulating around like that from the bottom to the top, as well as going down from the top to the bottom, right? So let's continue on.
In the meditation, David, is it you just follow the same path back up?
Yes, in reverse.
Okay.
So let's just take a look at this. We're not going to do that up meditation in a 3-session course. Usually I teach this in 8 or 9 sessions. So you have a little more time to go a little deeper and go down and as well as up. I want to make this really exciting for the more advanced folks and really accessible to the beginning folks. But take a look at the bottom. I think you can see my cursor. So the energy on the bottom, on our grounding and our feet, then it goes to Yesod, and it goes in reverse. Then it goes to the left hip, to the right hip, right? It just goes in reverse to the heart, to the left shoulder, to the right shoulder, right side of the head, left side of the head, right side of the head, and to the top of the head. So it just goes up in that other direction. Now, in the more advanced system, the energies are going simultaneously, so it looks like this double helix swirling around. Cool, isn't this?
Can I mention something that Zalman was working on or suggested to me because I was writing for the Omer? And toward the end of his years, he suggested that it really should be from the bottom up. So it was the whole configuration, but reversed.
Okay, and I think when I was working with him in the 2000s, it was more like we need them both, right? We need the energy going down as well as going up. And we certainly need to get it more circular. And we certainly need to feel that we are being scaffolded, from the energy into our physical body. And we certainly need to be aware that this is a biological process as well that fits within our bodies. And we certainly need to be aware that there are these energy centers that they're not really circles in our body, right? They're energy centers that radiate from that place. So, Tiferet is not just in the heart, but is really radiating from that whole center part of the torso. So we'll go through the other sefirot as well now. I want to point out something that's really interesting. The entire system on the right side is all about opening and expansion. The entire system here on the left side is all about closing and contraction. A lot of us have the sense that openness is good and closedness is bad. And of course, biologically, we know that that's not true. We need to breathe in, we need to breathe out. We need a heartbeat that contracts and expands. Our lives expand and contract. This is not a moral issue here of good or bad. We don't want kindness. Unbounded kindness is not kindness. It needs to be bounded by Gevurah. So when we get to Netzach in the right hip, the area of the right hip, we have this primal source of our sense of personal and spiritual victory. It's one of these words that's hard to translate. It's sometimes called victory, sometimes called eternity. It gives us an expansive sense that our good deeds reverberate into eternity. And that comes from the right hip. The sense that our good deeds reverberate into eternity. It's in a way more abstract than chesed is easy to conceive of because it's kindness and openness, where Netzach is like Gewalt, right? Netzach is like the sense that our good deeds reverberate into eternity. And Netzach is expansive because these good deeds are reverberating, and it's balanced by Hod, or adornment. Sometimes called splendor, sometimes adornment. The left hip gives us a sense that the small and large victories we achieve in life should be adorned and made beautiful for the world to see. I'll give you two kind of day-to-day examples of this. If I'm a painter and I do painting on the canvas, the painting on the canvas is Netzach. I got it done. But if I want to make it beautiful, I put a frame around it. And the frame around it is the adornment of it. I remember a number of years ago, my Bashert, my partner, said to me, Devorah says to me, could you set up the Shabbos table set up the table for Shabbos, meaning the candles and the wine and the tablecloth and the challah cover. So I got it all set up. And she came into the room and she said, oh, not that set, the really beautiful set. In other words, I got it done with a Kiddush cup, and I got it done with the candles and the candle holders. I got it done with the tablecloth and the challah cover. That's Netzach. I got it done. But she wanted to adorn it. She wanted it to be beautiful. So that's what the Hod does. It puts a frame around that which you create. And in fact, many times artists will want to put a frame of some sort, even if it's visual art without a physical frame, because the eye can focus much more clearly if it has a frame around it. Yesod, called foundation. Sexuality. Remember, we're in the third triad here, which is the triad of extrusion or expression. So sexuality is the primal expression of our most intimate exchange. Procreation is a reenactment of God's own creation. Since out of our sacred acts of intercourse, life is created. The lower abdomen and genital region is also the root of all our interpersonal bonding and sense of connection to nature. These are kind of loaded words I'm using because you'll often see Yesod described as bonding. Sometimes it's called foundation. Literally means foundation, but all of this idea of exchange takes place at this profound level. I mean, if we're doing an exchange here verbally, then my mouth is speaking and your ears are hearing, there's an intercourse going on between us. But it's in our heads. It's much more abstract. When it comes down to the torso, there's also exchange that goes on, right? The exchange of when I shake your hand, when we hug each other, There's an exchange of energy. And of course, Yesod, it's the most intimate. It's the most sacred. You know, when we go to the bathroom, it's a private act. It's a sacred act. We say a bracha, you know, when we go to the bathroom, because we thank God that everything opened, but then it didn't stay open, but then it closed up, right? So this sense of exchange, and especially in sexuality, is the most easily abused in the world. We see this, especially amongst men, but amongst people who abuse this place of exchange, of intercourse. And finally, the 10th sefirot is called Malchut. Down to our feet, we are given a sense of kingship, queenship, of royalty. The sense that we really belong exactly where we are. Now watch the way this relates to Keter. And that there is a purpose in our lives. The end returns to the beginning, which is God's will entering our lives. So Keter is God's will in our lives, and Malchut is the fulfillment of God's will in our lives. Keter is the sense of divine purpose, and Malchut is the sense it's proven. There really is a purpose in my life. The end returns to the beginning. Now, once again, these are divine metaphors that we're experiencing at a very rapid rate. They're happening in our bodies at this moment, at whatever pulsations that are occurring, maybe 60 of them per second occurring in our bodies, that the energy is flowing down from the top and up from the bottom, drawing down that sense of purpose and drawing up a sense of God's will being fulfilled in our lives. The end returns to the beginning. It's a beautiful system, isn't this? I mean, the Kabbalists, our ancestors, what they did was pretty extraordinary. Now, once again, I'm just going to touch on this right now very quickly, that the colors are not Luria's colors. They're Reb Zalman's colors using the spectrum. That the upper triad is beyond color. It's beyond the visible spectrum. The middle triad starts with what we could see, the violet to blue to green. If you're an artist, a visual artist, you know that this is the first light coming in, is in this violet state, coming into the blue, coming into the green. And then the hip triad, from the yellow to the orange to the red. I don't know why, but when I've studied the Luria system, I don't, it's beyond, I know there's many more Kabbalists, much smarter than I am, who understand Luria's color scheme. I don't fully get it. It's not as logical as this. So I use this scheme. I use Reb Zalman Schachter-Shalomi scheme. Now, along with this, and we're not going to do this today, I think we'll get to this next week. It's so cool, but every one of the sefirot have a vowel, have a sound contained by the letter Hey. The letter Hey is a soft consonant. It's a perfect container, according to Luria. It holds the vowels, so that the top of the head has the vowel of Ha. The right side of that Chachma has the vowel sound of Ha. And the left side of the head has the vowel sound of Hey. Hey. So to activate these three energy centers through sound, as we'll be doing next week, it's Ha, Ha, Hey. It's very cool. It goes right down to the feet. But today is just an introduction of it. If you want to make a screenshot of it, please do, and you can play with this on your own. But again, at least on my stender, where I daven, I keep this in front of me. I like to look outward at them, not just memorize the sounds. I know the sounds by heart, but I really like to look at the colors and sounds at the same time, simultaneously. We'll come back to this. Sounds and colors. Now, I emulated a system of praying from the body, that each of the 19 benedictions of the Amidah are linked to one of the energy centers, each of them. This does not expose that. Let me get to the one that does. For those of you who know the Hebrew, this is the schematic, Luria's schematic, of all of the 19 benedictions of the Amidah flowing down and up and right and left and back. It's gewalt. It's unbelievable. When I started charting it, and I charted it because I'm a visual learner, and I was following it along in the books, and I couldn't follow it in the book until I put it on a chart. And once I put it on a chart and I saw how Luria is wisdom, we're not going to do this right now, but you could screenshot it and take a look at it, how each of the 19 benedictions are rooted in the body. It's Reb Zalman's idea of praying from the body. In fact, let me do this. I think I've got Reb Zalman's. No, let's see. I don't. Right here. Okay, we'll do this one. So there are there are 3 prayers above our head, and the 4th prayer is right at my kippah, right on my Kaballah, right on the top of my head. So I'm going to say the numbers so you could follow along on the chart, because I'd like you to read them with me as I'm reading them. I'm not going to be able to read number 2, unfortunately, because of the way the screen is working. I've got like a little symbol from Zoom. They're telling me I'm screen sharing, so I can't quite see all the words. But I'm going to read them and number them, and we're going to locate them in our body. Okay? So first of all, the first 3 prayers above our head. Above our head. Holy One, beyond all names, may my ancestors be available to me today for protection, wisdom, and guidance. Ancient of days, Grandfather, please help renew me. Help me awaken to my life today. 3, still above my head. Holy One, may an appropriate portion of your infinite holiness fill my life today. Now, right on top of your head. 1 beyond names, shield me from malice today. Protect me from my enemies, the ones inside me, as well as those outside of me. For those of you who know the Amidah, you'll recognize what each of the different brachot are, the chatimah of each sefirot. I won't name them right now because I want to keep it accessible. Number 5, on the right side of the head. Yah, may my words and actions be from a place of wisdom that you have implanted in me. 6. God, give me the courage to face the parts of myself that I need to change so that I may return to you. 7. El, highest one. I hereby release my grudges. Read with me, okay? I let go of malice and arrogance. Help me forgive those who have hurt me. 8. Left shoulder. Elohim, in the merit of the good in my life, please redeem me from my troubles. 9. The heart. Adonai, Master, please bring a complete healing to myself and to those who are ill and suffering. 10. Netzach, the right hip. Adonai Tzivaot, Lord of hosts, may prosperity flow into my life, and may today begin the Messianic era. May your divine presence and comfort and spirit surround me in all that I do today. Number 11. The left hip, Hod. God, gather all the parts of myself into a unity and gather our people today in harmony. May Jerusalem be a model of peace throughout the world. I'm so grateful for life, family, friends, Israel, all peoples, and the earth. Lower abdomen, Yesod. Number 12. Master of the universe, bring justice into my life and to all those who are oppressed and hungry. Nurturing God, send blessings to all my teachers and to all the saints. Living God, grant peace, goodness, and blessing to all. Bless all of us as one. May shalom descend from the heavens upon me and the ones that I love. Last one, Shekhinah on the bottom. Malchut. Shekhinah, Mother, please accept my prayers. May my praying be so sweet that just saying these words is an answer to my prayers. Now I want to point out for those of you who know the Hebrew, this I got from Reb Zalman, to join them together. There are several prayers in Luria's system that are combined in number 10, and 2 or 3 that are combined in number 12. So you could take a look at them. I'll just give you an example here without going into too much detail in the Hebrew. But for example, in the right hip for Netzach, you have the prayer for prosperity, according to Luria, the prayer for the Mashiach, and the prayer for the Shekhinah are all located in the right hip. And the left hip is located the prayer for Jerusalem and the prayer for gratitude. And then, of course, in Yesod, in the lower abdomen, is the prayer for the tzaddikim. So we have this amazing little system that takes practice, to really get it down at this complex level or at a more simplistic level. I shouldn't say simplistic, at a more accessible, simple level of doing one sphere at a time. So what I want to do, because we're just about out of time, it's hard to believe the hour has gone so quickly. So I want to come out of the screen. We're going to be reviewing these and doing some new ones, including the sounds next week. So I just want to take just another minute or two. Lorelei, what's your time frame? Do we stop exactly at 1, which is now? Can I answer a couple of questions?
Oh, you can keep going, please. Bavakasha.
Okay.
Ad netzach theme.
Okay. Okay, we're going into eternity here. Listen, in all seriousness, anybody that's really on a lunch break that needs to leave, please do leave, and we'll see you next week. And let's hang around for a few more minutes and just answer some questions, if anybody has any. Please just unmute yourself and ask the question. I'm either doing so terribly that nobody wants to ask a question, or I've done so well that...
Rabbi?
Yes, please.
David here. I lived in Spain for 5 years. Do you have any feeling why the Kaballah came out of Spain and the experience of the Sephardic Jews?
That's a great question, David. I'm not a historian on that level. Maybe Rabbi Wolf, Rabbi Greg knows better than I do. I'm just not sure it's part of the migrational pattern of our people. I'll tell you a guess, David. I'm pretty sure this is close to being right. Attribution is so important in Judaism. We attribute. I learned this from Reb Zalman. Reb Zalman learned this from Rabbi Schneerson, etc. We attribute our learning to our teachers. But when it comes to attributing to other religions, none of us do too well. So Christianity is rooted in Judaism, but rarely is it attributed. Judaism learned so much from the Sufis, and the Sufis learned so much from the Kabbalists, rarely attributed. You can find it little hints of it, of what we learned from each other. But it seems like to me, and David Kuden, don't quote me on this historically, but my guess would be is because there probably were just an enormous amount of Sufi or mystical Kabbalists in Spain at the time when we were living there in the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th centuries, and we absorbed a lot of Sufi mysticism, as well as the Sufis absorbing a lot of our insights. So I think that might be why, because it was under Muslim control at the time, and the mystics were living in Spain. That's my best guess. Anybody have any better information for me? Pretty good, David? Greg? That was okay. Okay, I get a thumbs up from Greg Wolf. Whew, okay, good. One more question?
I want to know where what the shul is behind you.
Oh, thanks for asking that. That's the shul where I got bar mitzvahed. Knesset Israel in Coney Island, the Seagate. That's my bima. If you go back in time, you can actually see back in time. And there I was in 1960, December 23rd, at my bar mitzvah. You could see me right there. Right? Good question, Matester.
What was your parsha?
Oh my God. I'll look it up.
December 23rd. So was it before
Probably
Hanukkah?
Miketz or something like that.
I don't remember.
Did you have that beard then?
Yeah, of course I had that beard. Sure.
At 13?
Yeah, I'll show you my favorite background here, if I've got it. Oh yeah. So this was 1969. I didn't have the beard, but oops. Yeah. That was me in 1969. So he's always behind me. My past is always behind me. So I keep him there for good blessings. But I'm not sure my parsha. I'll have to look it up. Any other questions, anybody?
And where are you now? Where do you live?
Ashland, Oregon.
Oh, good. Aryeh Hirschfield territory.
Oliver Shalom, absolutely.
I went to Israel with him in 1980 something.
Wow. Who's that speaking?
Yitzhak.
Yitzchak. Oh, great. Okay. That was the first time you went to Israel, right, Yitzchak?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, I remember.
Great.
Evelyn, did you have a question?
Thank you. I have an unfair question.
Uh-oh.
In the very early blessing that we did to initiate study, which was beautiful, there was a line in there about, may this study be the incense that I offer you. And I just wondered if you had any thoughts about what to do with that incense. And it's rising up. Oh, thank you. Oh, Baruch Hashem. I don't remember where it is, but.
It's in the third paragraph. I pray too that this study will bring you joy. It is the incense I offer in your holy temple. Bathe this, my soul, your soul, in the light of the source of all. I love that line, that study is an incense. You know, it rises up from my body, from our bodies. The minyan that we've made here today, it's rising up, and this is incense. It's a gorgeous, it's a very embodied metaphor. Thanks, Evelyn. Anybody else? Any comments or questions? All right. Well, thank you so much, Lorelei. And it's the same link next week and the week after, correct?
It is. That how you got here last week is how you're going to get here next Monday and the Monday after. And please note in the chat, I did put the link to our donation site and also our PO box if you want to send a check. So please make a contribution if you haven't already to the care and feeding of your teacher, David Zaslow. And there is so much going on at the Aquarian Minyan Yeshiva, which is where you are right now. If you go to our website, aquarianminyan.org, you'll see our classes, our events, our Shabbos services. Tomorrow is also a new class, and some of you may know the Holy and Heliga Ellen Kaufman-Dosick, who is going to be doing a class for us on Shekhinah world. Really, it's something that she used to do that I think she called it Shekhinah camp, but it's stories from before time, her story of the Shekhinah. So you can find out more about that class and other upcoming classes at aquarianminyan.org. And we're excited to have Reb David back with us next week. So save your emails from us. And because you've registered for this class, we have your email as well. And so we'll be able to follow up with you and send you out some material that Reb David may want you to have for the next upcoming class, like maybe the list of names that we should all have in mind. We can work on that in the coming week, okay?
I do have one question, maybe to be addressed in the next things, but I wrote in the chat, perhaps all these wisdoms from the various traditions were all in touch with the source in their own way.
Yeah.
Because there's so much commonality and yet differences, but when you get really holy, whatever that is, perhaps you're connecting into wisdom in that same way. And that's just an ongoing curiosity of mine.
And who's that speaking? I'm sorry.
Stephen Sondheim.
Thanks, Stephen. I think you're so right. Look, it's not a coincidence that the chakra system and the sefirot system so much mirror each other. There are slight differences, and you see that in some chakra systems, they go from Keter, they call it the crown chakra, and they go down the sefirot, they go down the chakras in the same order of the spectrum that Reb Zalman did, right? It's the same colors of the spectrum. Wisdom is wisdom, and we're all drawing from the same source, and we're all creating our own metaphors as best we can, and they're all awkward metaphors at best. When we draw our charts, we're drawing charts of energy that really can't be charted, but we want the chart because it's a little easier for us to follow. It's like, I don't believe in the charts, but I believe in the energy that is underneath the charts. And the charts are good as a starting point. But Stephen, I think you're so right. We're all drawing from the same source, but we also draw from each other. You know, we also hop a little from Sufism. We hop a little from the Black Gospel Church, and they hop from us, and we're all learning from one another. I did put my email down. If anybody wants better copies, if you took screenshots but you want a better copy, I don't mind sending them out to you. So maybe I'll send them out as a group, Lorelei. If I can have, if I had all the emails, I would send it out to everybody all at
I'll
once.
send you a list.
That
Great.
would be wonderful.
I'll
Lorelei,
That
Yes.
Lorelei, can you tell us how to access the recording?
Yes, it's very simple. So you go to Facebook and look for the Aquarian Minions Facebook page, and under our video tab, like all the pages have, it says discussions, photos, videos. So just look for videos, and that's where all of our classes are archived. And also if you go to our website, aquarianminyan.org, right on the front page, and then on many of the other pages like the Yeshiva class page, etc., is a direct link to the video archives on our Facebook page.
Okay, thank you so much.
One click, okay?
Reb David,